All right, let's dive into one of the biggest shifts happening in tech right now. For years, AI has been this really cool thing, kind of stuck in the lab. But that's over. The era of just experimenting is ending. Now we're in the era of real-world deployment, what we're calling the great hardening. AI is finally growing up. I mean, just think about that for a second. In 2025, AI got a job, a body, and a balance sheet. We're way past smarter chatbots now. AI is becoming an active, physical part of our economy. This is the story of how that's happening and what it means for all of us. So let's get into it. So first up, we're going to look at this fundamental shift from all the hype to what we're calling the hardening. AI is moving past that, wow, look what this can do phase, and into the much harder question of, okay, how do we make this work safely and reliably everywhere, all the time? We're building the real infrastructure now. And this is the crucial part, you see. The entire industry's focus is pivoting. The new rock stars aren't just the people creating the cool new models. They're the ones building the rules, the frameworks, the guardrails. This is the serious, grown-up work of turning AI into a utility that we can actually depend on. Okay, so this brings us to our next big theme, the rise of a whole new autonomous workforce. And I'm talking about these AI agents that are being unleashed inside businesses. These aren't just tools anymore. They're kind of like a new class of digital employee. And the big question is, how on earth do you manage them? First, let's just make sure we're on the same page. When we say agentic AI, we are not talking about a simple chatbot. This is an autonomous system. It can make plans, it can use other software tools, and it can chip away at a complex task for hours or even days without you needing to constantly check in. It's a huge, huge leap in what these things can do. And if you want to understand the scale of the challenge here, just look at this number. For every single human employee in a company, there are now 82 non-human identities. 82! That's service accounts, bots, and now these new AI agents. So that old school idea of a security perimeter? Yeah, that's just gone. It's completely exploded. So how do you manage all this risk? Well, companies like AWS are creating frameworks like this scoping matrix. And the idea is actually pretty brilliant. You don't just flip a switch and give an AI full autonomy. No way. You graduate it step by step. You start with simple tasks that need a human to say yes, then you move to more complex things, but always with monitoring. It's all about earning trust, not just assuming it. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, first, autonomy is a massive risk multiplier. You have to roll it out carefully. Second, securing those 82 non-human identities for every one human is now priority number one for security teams. And finally, the way we test AI has to change. It's not just about speed anymore. It's about measuring cognitive load. How much complex work can an agent handle before it breaks? This is why governance isn't just boring red tape. It's the engine that's going to let this whole thing scale. So far, we've been talking about AI living in the digital world, right? But what happens when that intelligence gets a physical body? Our third section is all about that, how we're moving from just code to actual physical robots. This quote from DeepMind CEO Dimas Hassabis just nails the vision. The goal isn't just to build one smart robot. It's to build one smart brain, a kind of universal operating system for robotics. An AI that could power any robot, just like how Android powers a million different kinds of phones. It's a platform play, and it is absolutely massive. And the key technology making this happen is the move to on-device processing. Think about it. For a robot to be safe and useful in the real world, it can't be waiting for instructions from a data center 1,000 miles away. That intelligence has to be local, right on the machine. This cuts the, connectivity umbilical cord, and it makes these robots faster, safer, and just way more resilient. Now, with all this incredible potential, you just know the financial markets are going absolutely wild. But there's a huge debate raging right now. Is this a historic boom, or are we just living through a massive dot-com-style bubble all over again? Let's take a look at both sides of the argument. So the bears, people citing analysts from places like Bank of America, they point to these sky-high valuations and recent market dips as a clear sign of a bubble. But the bulls, like the folks at BlackRock, they have a really strong counterargument. They say, look, unlike the dot-com era, today's AI leaders have real profits. They're funding all this growth with cash, not a mountain of risky debt. And they also suggest the really smart money is on the companies using AI, not just the ones building it. But here's where it gets a little weird.
there's this fascinating complication called loopification. It's this tangled web where the big cloud providers, the AI model makers, and the chip companies are all investing in and buying from each other. It's kind of like they're all passing the same $100 bill around in a circle, which makes it really hard to see what the true market demand actually is.
Here's a perfect example of how it works. Microsoft invests a ton of money into an AI company like Anthropic. Then, Anthropic turns right around and promises to spend billions on Microsoft's cloud services. Or you'll see NVIDIA investing in all these startups, who then use that same money to go buy NVIDIA's chips. Now, this could be a virtuous cycle of growth, or it could be a really vicious one if one of those players stumbles. It definitely concentrates the risk. So, while the financial markets try to figure all that out, let's talk about something way more tangible, the actual physical build-out of AI's backbone. This is a modern-day gold rush, and you know who's making the real money? It's the people selling the picks and shovels. This quote from Sam Altman really frames the sheer scale of the ambition here. He was talking about a deal between OpenAI and Foxconn to build AI servers right here in the US. This isn't just about one company's supply chain. It's about building strategic, national capacity for what is clearly a foundational new technology. And the winners aren't just the famous AI labs you hear about every day. It's the infrastructure players. We're talking about data center companies like CoreWeave, which had an IPO at $23 billion. Data platforms like Snowflake, whose revenue has just exploded. And even the less glamorous but absolutely critical companies that provide the super fast connectivity needed to tie it all together. But all those data centers need a colossal, almost unbelievable amount of electricity. With power demand projected to literally double by 2030, the industry is turning to a pretty surprising source: nuclear power. It's really one of the only options that can provide the kind of stable, massive, and climate-aligned energy that this AI revolution is going to require. Okay, so we've covered the tech, the robots, the money. But what does all of this actually mean for us, for people? This hardening of AI is creating some profound questions about policy, about our jobs, and even about what it means to be human. Let's start with a question that's probably pretty personal for a lot of us. Companies are desperate to hire people who know how to use AI. And yet, at the same time, their recruiters are trying to screen out candidates who use AI to write their resumes or help answer interview questions. It's this bizarre paradox that gets right to the heart of how we value human skills in this new era. And on the policy front, there is a huge tug-of-war happening. The big industry groups are pushing hard for a single national set of rules, mainly to avoid a messy and expensive patchwork of different laws. But states are moving really fast to protect their citizens, with over 250 different AI-related measures proposed this year alone. It's that classic battle between federal uniformity and local control. And all of this really boils down to some fundamental challenges, right? How do you prove your skills in an interview now? How do you make sure an AI used in hiring is actually fair? How are we going to prove we're human online without giving up all of our privacy? And maybe most importantly, when an AI is used in government, who is ultimately responsible for what it decides? These are the questions we have to answer, and we have to answer them now. And that brings us to our final question, really the one that hangs over this entire technological revolution. As these systems get more and more autonomous, as they get woven deeper into our lives, who is truly accountable when things go wrong? Is it the person who coded it, the person who used it, the company that owns it, or is it the AI itself? That's the question we're all going to be grappling with as AI continues to grow up. Thanks for tuning in.